Gentlemen, today we are moving on to Unit 3, that is about the introduction to project risk management. Earlier, we have had a lecture on change management and one on the general terms. This is the third lecture. And last lecture, I tried to introduce to you some of the concepts of project management relating to the upper and lower tiers. Like, the concept of organizational project management, programs, portfolios, and then lower level project has phases, sub phases, and then naturally we will talk about WBS and other things later. Now, focusing on the project risk management, naturally, project risk management is one of the knowledge areas out of the 10 knowledge areas. But this is such an important knowledge area that you see a project has an inherent uncertainty in it, and that uncertainty gives rise to risks. These risks could reside in any knowledge area of the project. Although risk management in itself is one of the knowledge areas, but there could be a risk in scope, risk in time, risk in cost, risk in quality, risk in everything. So it is the responsibility of project risk management to look after all the knowledge areas and see very minutely if there are any positive or negative risks anywhere. So that is the importance of risk. Moreover, all of these risks which are found in any one of the knowledge areas, they all have to be properly integrated into the project management plan. So risk management plan basically uh, does everything to develop a risk response, number of risk responses, and ultimately these risk responses are properly integrated into project management plan as if the requisite resources, time, cost, and everything can be made available for that, for taking action on those risks. So we need to have a very good understanding of the project risk management. So I'll now be focusing on the project risk management, but on and off, wherever we have to talk about other knowledge areas, we will keep discussing those. But naturally, that is not the focus of this course because it is generally expected that anyone who is coming for project risk management must have gone through project management body of knowledge by itself, and therefore you should be aware about the various concepts in scheduling and cost and all that. That is not to be covered in this course, but still, if you need any help on any one of those topics, we can always talk about it. So as far as the project risk management is concerned, I'm going to be very deliberate. I'll go into as length as possible to define each and every concept. In this chapter, this is an introductory chapter about the overall knowledge area of project risk management. Starting with a definition of the project risk management, we will talk about why should we be going through this project risk management processes, this knowledge area. What is the nature of risk management? Project risk management is proactive. We know that, and this is to be defined. Risk and the decision making based on risk, naturally, um, based on the risks you identify, you will be able to better decide certain things. Integrating risks with overall project management, naturally, I just said that whole of the all the risks in the whole of the project are to be integrated into the overall project integration management or project management plan. Good risk management practices, this is important, and critical success factors for project risk management. These are some of the topics we are going to be covering today. We have already seen the definition of the risk. Let us talk, and the risk management also, we have talked about it. So we understand that risk management is something which deals with identification, analysis, or some people call it assessment. Analysis is of two types, that is qualitative and quantitative. And then once we have done thorough analysis, then we move on to development of the risk responses. And risk responses are then implemented, and ultimately these are controlled. Or in other words, we monitor the risk. As far as the practice standard is concerned, as we are following the practice standard. So let us see the dynamic of the practice standard. It is like, as I was saying earlier, this is not the total syllabus of your RMP examination. The syllabus I have discussed with you already. We have already talked about what all is included in your syllabus. This is just a practice guide which helps you clarify certain concepts and provides you guideline in certain areas. It is based on all the practice guides or practice standards are actually based on a guide to project management body of knowledge. And because this was written, when this practice standard was written, there used to be fourth edition. Now we are talking about sixth edition. So it is based on sixth edition. Now we have to look at it from that angle. Sixth edition, PMBOK. So this practice standard will just provide you the principles of the specialization, specialized in risk management, because your certification is about that and this practice standard is about risk management. Therefore, the principles, specialized principles only related to the risk management will be discussed in this standard. And that is to be interfaced and read in continuation with a guide to project management body of knowledge, which describes all the processes of project management. So here we will be only discussing the risk management processes, whereas there are total of 49 processes of project management, and these processes of risk management somehow interact with them, those 49 processes as well. And as we said, this all has to be integrated into a project management plan. So you must have a very good understanding of how those processes work. I will give you a run through of the interaction of all the processes. Now, this guide is basically based on lot of published and unpublished work, which I said earlier. Published and unpublished work means the books, the handbooks, the courses in the field, the general concepts about project management, white papers, research papers, whatever has been researched so far, whether that has been published formally or not. This all is our theory, tools, and techniques. We seek those theory, tools, and techniques from all the sources worldwide, and based on that, they have developed the guide to project management body of knowledge. This is just a guideline. This does not talk in detail about anything. A brief definition of everything, a general introduction to good practices, and then it is left on to you whether you want to adopt it or not. And naturally, as I said, practice standard is the extraction of the specialized area of risk management. Okay, so we understand that project risk is an uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, has a positive or negative effect on the project objective. Now let us postmortem this definition and see, uh, because the project is by itself uncertain, we are taking on a challenge which we have never done before. Therefore, there is a lot of uncertainty in it. We do not have a SOP to follow. Therefore, uh, there will be many risks. There will be many uncertainties. So, project risk is an event, is a moment, is a point in time where uncertainty is likely to occur. This is an event or a condition. If it occurs, because there is a probability, it is not definite that it will occur, but if it occurs, it could have a positive or negative effect on the project objective. Positive and negative means risk could be positive, risk could be negative, and the positive risk, as we understand, is called opportunity, and negative risk is called a threat. And what are the project objectives? This also I have described to you earlier. We have scope, time, and cost. Scope, time, and cost are three project objectives, and if you like, you can also add quality into it. But quality does not have a baseline. Therefore, we generally assume scope, time, and cost as the project objectives, as I defined earlier. These are the three things, three objectives of the project, which, if not defined, project cannot be defined. Just like the example I gave you, if somebody asks me to build a house for him, this does not describe anything to me. It just gives me a general idea what he wants, but I don't know how big a house is going to be, how long I have to build this house, and how much money is at my disposal. So some idea of the scope, and time and cost must be there. All of these three things contribute towards the definition of the project. And now coming back to risk, any uncertain event which could positively or negatively impact any one of these objectives is the risk. This is the definition of the risk. If you think there is a risk which is not impacting scope, time, or cost, for all practical purposes, we do not consider it as a risk at all. It is not a risk. If it is not having any impact on the scope, time, or cost of the project, then we do not entertain any such thing as a risk at all. Project risk is a cumulative effect of the chances of uncertain occurrences adversely affecting the project objectives. So here we are talking about the project risk. So this is the cumulative effect of the chances. Chances are the probability. How much is the probability? Now, we can't really be sure about the probability. So therefore, we have to seek this data from a number of sources and probabilistically analyze and ascertain a percentage for that. So that is the probability. So uncertain occurrences from the past which could affect adversely or positively affect. Okay, the second definition is taken from another book by Max Weidman. This was the book is Project and Program Risk Management, and interestingly, this book was published by PMI, specially requesting Max Weidman to write on this topic before the practice standard was released. I am more interested in this is because this talks about projects and programs both. This is one point. And the second point of my interest in this book is that this was the first material written by PMI on this topic. And this is not the property of PMI, this is published by PMI, but it is a book written by Mike Weidman. All the standard practice guides and all those, they are written not by a single author. They are generally known to be authored by PMI, and there are many people contributing towards that. But there's like this book, Mike Weidman was approached by PMI to write this book, and this book is not a standard. Anyways, now Mike Weidman is an old man, and he might have had his own ideas about things, but he has written this book very beautifully. But the thing which I don't really agree with him is that he considers risk as only the negative effect. Although he does talk about opportunities, the positive side, but he says risks and opportunities, which is in my today's word is like threats and opportunities. So risk, he is always considering as a negative thing and opportunity as a positive thing, whereas we say that risk, if positive, is an opportunity, and if negative, is a threat, right? So bear me with this kind of a difference. Then I have already talked about the project objectives. Basically, we have scope, time, and cost, and in addition, we also can entertain sometimes quality as an objective, but not from the measurement point of view, because baselines can only exist for scope, time, and cost, and therefore, for those purposes, project objectives are considered to be scope, time, and cost. Again, I would again like to clarify that these are called project objectives, and they are no more called the triple constraint or iron triangle. These are obsolete terms because PMI has established that there are more than three constraints. So if constraints are more, then this is not the right definition. Okay, project risk management includes the processes concerned with conducting risk management planning, identification, analysis, responses, and monitoring and control on a project. This we already understand. I've just described it to you. This I'm talking from PMBOK 4th edition. Actually, the 6th edition has almost the same definition, so there is not much of a difference. The objectives of project risk management are, okay, this is interesting. If you are dealing with a positive event or a positive risk for that matter, then a risk, you must understand, that is made up of two things. Number one, the probability of this risk happening. And number two, the damage or benefit it will cause. Damage I'm saying for the negative, and the benefit or the I'm saying for the positive. So probability and impact multiplied together will give you the overall, you know, exposure of the risk. So overall exposure of the risk can be reduced or increased by varying the probability and impact. You understand, if they are multiplied with each other, then probably if probability is decreased, you can decrease the overall exposure. If impact is decreased, you can decrease the overall exposure. And if both are decreased, then there is a great change in exposure. So you can increase the probability and impact of the positive events because you like to have those opportunities coming your way, and you can decrease the probability and impact of the negative events because they are harmful to you. So this is the basic objective of the project risk management, that we want to increase the positive side and decrease the negative side. Why do we do that? You see, basically, you might have heard about decision support systems in organizations and corporations. Why do we need to decide? We need to make decisions because we want to move ahead. We want to, get through a stagnancy and take a wise decision. And a good decision can only be taken if all the facts and figures are in place. So, generally speaking, the corporate decision should be taken in an environment of total certainty, which is not possible. There is always some gap in certainty, no matter you're dealing with projects or operations or whatever. So there is always some uncertainty, and as much uncertainty there is in the data, the shaky the decision is. So how can you be taking good decisions with a lot of uncertainty? That is a big challenge. So for that purpose, normally when we have more uncertainty, then the thing which comes to our rescue is statistics. We will do the probability analysis, statistical analysis, and through that, we will ensure the gap between certainty and uncertainty is somehow bridged. So, if you have total certainty, good for good decision making, that means all the necessary information is available for making the right decision. So, everything, data and facts are there, and you are basing your decision on that, and this could be the right decision. And the outcome can be predicted with a high degree of confidence. You can say that I am taking this decision and this will result in this outcome. This is the benefit or whatever coming to us ultimately. So you can be very certain. You can be very sure about your decision. You can be very confident. Most decisions are taken without complete information. That is actually the situation. The upper situation which I just have shown you, that is the ideal situation. All the data should be available, total certainty, and then I will have a lot of confidence. But now I'm talking about the real world scenario where most decisions are taken without complete information, and therefore it gives rise to some degree of uncertainty in the outcome. So not only that I'm unable to make good decisions, I'm not really certain about making good decisions, but I'm also not certain about the future as a result of that decision. The outcome, I am not really sure. There is some degree of uncertainty there. I can be sure about certain aspects, but not completely sure. And in the extreme case of complete absence of information, nothing is known about the outcome, and there is total uncertainty which prevails. So these are the three different situations where you have to make decisions: total certainty, good decisions, good predictions, uh, some degree of uncertainty. Well, somehow you can make decisions, and somehow to some extent you can predict the results also. But in the case of total uncertainty, this is the most difficult job. So, as the job becomes difficult, more we start relying on probability and statistics. So, in risk management, we have a lot of use of probability and statistics. Project risk management, why do we do it? It is the matter of organizational survival. You are pursuing opportunities within the spectrum of uncertainty. You are living in an environment which is fast changing and there's a lot of competition. So to survive, you have to move ahead, and most of the time you will not have all the data. So you will have either partial data available or no data available, and you are supposed to be making good decisions and be confident about it. How can that be possible? So this risk management is going to tell us how we do that. Projects are typically launched to take advantage of these opportunities. Whenever there is an opportunity, we must exploit it. We must benefit from it. Whole point of undertaking a project is to achieve or establish something new, to venture or to take chances. You see, if you remember my first discussion on the very first day, I said, even if there is a problem, there is an opportunity to improve on that problem, and ultimately your organization will change and benefit to by achieving a future state which is better in business value. That is one thing. Even from problem, we are seeking opportunity. We are getting benefited out of it if we can exploit it. Secondly, if there is an opportunity, then naturally we want to cash upon it. So both ways, change is always good. Change is always good. Risk has always been an intrinsic part of the project work, as we understand the projects are uh, inherently uncertain by nature. So risk is always going to be there. There is no question that there is a project without any risk. And risk taking has assumed significantly greater proportions. Now, the way people take risk is off the charts. People do not understand the risk management, they do not understand the analysis and statistics, and they just try to make decisions on their whims. That is in total uncertainty, and thus they are not really sure about anything what is going to happen to them. So I would say a person who takes a lot of risks may sometimes succeed, but at the same time, this is a very stupid person. This you should not consider this person as a brave person. He is a stupid person because he is banging with the wall without even considering whether it will harm him or not. A good risk manager will always look into the situation, analyze it, understand it, only then take certain action. Do not just straight away bang into the wall. So risk taking is not a good option. Uncertainty, opportunity, and threat. As we have already ascertained that opportunity is a positive risk and threat is a negative risk, and uncertainty is by itself a risk. Uncertainty, opportunity are risk, which, according to Max Weidman, is a threat, are closely allied. Unknowns about the future may turn out to be either favorable or unfavorable naturally. Lack of knowledge of future events constitute uncertainty. Uncertainty is simply the set of all possible outcomes, both favorable and unfavorable. Now, he is talking about what? He is talking about the overall risk of the project, or in other words, we call it project risk. All the uncertainty in the project, we have generally said that projects are uncertain. Projects are uncertain because there are many risks in the project. These risks are positive as well as negative. So, all the positive and negative risks put together constitute the project risk or the overall risk of the project. The probability of those outcomes which are favorable may be viewed as opportunity, and those who are negative, they are viewed as threat. So, according to Max Weidman, uh, a project which is a venture always is undertaken to produce some outcome or the product. And initially, when we start the venture, almost everything is unknown, or most of the things are unknown. There's a high order of uncertainty which exists. Now, there are positive risks and there are negative risks. There are with the positive the opportunities are favorable and risks are unfavorable. Naturally, we want to increase the opportunities and reduce the risks. Naturally, so we are trying to shift the balance towards the good things, towards the positive side. So the goal is the project risk management function is to move uncertainty away from risk, I mean threat, and towards the opportunity. So we want to avoid the threat and move towards the opportunity. We want to turn all negativity into benefit for ourselves. Just as risks are associated with pursuing opportunities, so opportunities also flow from encountering risks. Many risks, with a little foresight and ingenuity, be turned into opportunities. Again, I would say, please replace the word risk with threat. What Max Whiteman is saying is, whenever he sees the word risk, he means threat. So many threats, with a little foresight and ingenuity, be turned into opportunity. Risks are often ignored, and such opportunities are overlooked. So do not keep a blind eye towards the opportunities, because opportunities are there for your benefit, and you must exploit them. You must identify them. You must try to turn your bad luck to good luck. The goal of project risk management is to move uncertainty away from the threats and towards the opportunities that we said. And net project risk, I said total risk, overall risk. The project risk is the cumulative net effect of the chances of both adverse and favorable consequences affecting your project objective. That is the important thing. Affecting the project objective. A risk is not a risk if it is not impacting any one of the project objectives: scope, time, or cost. If there is no impact on scope, no impact on time, no impact on cost, then it is not a risk at all. So this we must understand, and we will talk more about it. Risks are considered highly chancy and hazardous. I hope we understand that they have a probability of happening, and then they damage. Negative risks. Risks are so commonplace in everyday life that we take chances all the time. When we take chances, a brave person who is banging on the wall is trying to increase the risk. He is banging with it, and he is taking the chances, right? So he is trying to increase the risk. We take alternative routes sometime. We risk is reduced by trading off time and energy. If I see that Islamabad expressway is very crowded and I can't reach my destination in time, I better take an alternative route. So what I'm doing is I am avoiding the risk. I am reducing the risk by changing my path. We admonish children from going near the road. Normal case, we admonish children from going near the road. Why? We are first of all identifying the risk to the child, that road is very dangerous, and then we are telling him not to go there, is the risk avoidance. So in our daily life, we keep handling different situations related to risk management, but we really don't know what we are doing. But this is coming out of our daily life experiences. We teach our children how to cross the road or direct them to school crossing guard. Maybe, first of all, look right, look left, see no traffic is coming, and then pass on across the road. So this is what we are asking them to assess the risk assessment and planning. Risk assessment and planning is look right, look left, and then cross the road. This is plan and then move. And the other part is, sometimes we tell them that go with some elder, cross the road, hold the hand of the elder, or maybe a school guard can allow you to pass the road. So when he facilitates you, only then cross the road. So that is shifting of the responsibility on the school guard or the person who is letting the child cross the road. So this is shifting of responsibility, which we call transfer of risk. We are transferring the risk to that person. Okay, when the children get back from school, we ask them how was the day, how they got on. So this is we are trying to get the feedback, as if we can apply any corrective action. We can give them any advice if they have done anything wrong. Maybe the child says, "Well, I just ran across the road." So you would say, "Oh, that is not good. You shouldn't do that. You should follow the instructions," and so on and so forth. So you must get information feedback and apply the corrective action. We make mental note for the future. So whatever we learn from all this, we will uh, keep it in the lessons learned database. So this is all what we are doing in our daily life. Why can't we do all this in project management? In project risk management, basically this is what is happening. So there is nothing much new. Risk processes are not like traditional processes. Inputs, processes, output, and feedback loop, but they deal with uncertainty, probability, unpredictability, and contingent planning. You see, this is the difference because normal processes or normal activities of the project, we are 100% sure that we will have to do them. If I have to construct a wall, then I have to have bricks. I have to make the mortar to hold the bricks. So these are these things which I have to do, and I am 100% sure that I will definitely have to do. These are not risks; these are activities. So anything which I am sure and I have 100% probability of doing that thing, that cannot be a risk. That is a fact. That can be turned into an activity. But a risk is this can happen, that can happen. So whatever can happen, that has a probability attached with it. Some has a higher probability, some has a lower probability. So this is matter of uncertainty, probability, unpredictability. And naturally, for catering these unpredictability, we have to have some contingency allowance and some contingent planning has to go in there. That is why we keep reserves. So we keep some extra money, some extra time for dealing with such kind of uncertainties. Management implies complete control of events, but risk management is advanced preparation for both future events. First of all, let's see what management does. Management plans. When a project manager is given a project, he plans. Uh, Forget about risks, but whatever has to happen in the project, whatever needs to be done in the project, these are the project activities, and we are 100% sure that this is the order in which these activities will be done. So we plan. So you have complete control of events. You are 100% sure that they will have to be done. But there are other things which we are not sure about. And those also have to be somehow catered. Some allowance has to be, some contingency has to be kept for them, some reserve has to be kept for them, and that also has to be planned. And that is only through a proactive planning. If I just let those things happen, then I am just managing the crisis. I waited for things to happen, and when they happen, then I am, collecting the debris. But if I am proactive, I am thinking in advance what all can happen to me, and whatever bad could happen to me, I am planning how to address that, how to reduce the impact of that bad happening, which is likely to happen, which I'm not sure to happen. If a risk is 100% sure, then I will not consider it as a risk. I will consider it as a fact, and I will take concrete actions about it in my project management plan. But if I'm 50% sure about something, then probably I will keep some amount in the contingency, or some strategy will be devised that if this risk occurs, or is likely to occur, is close to occur, then these steps must be taken. Okay, consider you are at risk of being shot. These examples might not be very good examples, but they give you a fair idea what we are going through. So if you are sure you are at a risk of being shot at, you have four options. Number one, you can move to avoid the bullet. If you can dodge the bullet, you can deflect the bullet. Maybe you can have some arrangement, some you can take shelter behind something which can save you from the bullet, which can deflect the bullet or something. Or you can take the damage and then repair the damage done by the bullet. You take the bullet and then you go to the hospital and get whatever medical treatment is required if you are still alive. And the fourth is you can take steps to avoid being confronted by the person with the gun. If you knew it is shooting outside, why the hell did you go out of outside? Why did you take the risk? There was no need to take the risk. You could have gone out from the back door and still survive. So In all these cases, whatever your response is, reactive or proactive, the point is at no time are you in control of the bullet. The risk event was the bullet, and you were never in control of the bullet. So what you could have done, you could have moved away from the bullet, you could have deflected the bullet, you could have repaired the damage from the bullet. These are all the reactive actions. And the proactive is that you may have, you know, not encountered the situation. You may have avoided the whole situation altogether. A risk should only be taken when the potential benefit and chances of winning exceed the remedial cost of unsuccessful decision and chances of losing by a satisfactory margin. So this is something, this is a very, very important dialogue. Let us debate on that. Let us discuss on that. I'll read it again. A risk should not be taken when the potential benefit and chances of winning exceed the remedial cost. You see, um, I gave you an example of a potentially very brave person who is ready to take any risk and he bangs into the wall all the time for any reason. No reason, said he bangs into the wall. This is the person who did not weigh the benefits and chances, and he just on his wits, on his gut feeling, he just to prove himself very brave, he encounters a situation without any preparation and leaves everything to luck, to probability. So this is not the right approach. As a good risk manager, you will try to understand the potential benefit or loss or the chances you are taking, how much are the chances that you will win the situation or you will, you know, all the damage or benefit, whatever positive or negative risk it is, the the money you are spending to achieve that or to avoid that must be less than that. Meaning what? If you know I have to go to Islamabad on Islamabad highway, and it is I know that it is going to be crowded today at this moment. I can't reach it in the due time. First of all, ascertain how much will be the loss if you do not reach Islamabad in time. You understand my point? What is the loss of not reaching there in time? Maybe you will lose a $1 million deal. If that is so much of a loss you are going to be facing, then probably you can always afford to take a longer route, spending more money, and maybe longer route or whatever the alternative route. You can take alternative non-conventional route, which will take generally a little more time than what generally it takes, but it will still get you there in time. And if there's a matter of $1 million deal, then probably I can even hire a helicopter for that and I can reach there in time. Why not? So this all depends upon the type of benefit you are pursuing or the damage which is going to cause. So the remedial cost of an unsuccessful decision and the chances of losing by a satisfactory margin. You have to consider that. So we should not be penny wise and pound foolish. We must calculate our chances. We must understand what are the benefits and what are the losses, and only then should we get into uh, taking the risk. You should not take the risk without preparation. Therefore, the risk taker should obtain realistic answers to questions such as why should the risk be taken? That is very, very incisive. Why should I take risk? Is there any benefit to me or to my organization or whatever? What will be gained by taking the risk? What could be lost? What are the chances of success or failure? What can be done if the desired result is not achieved? Is the potential reward worth the risk? So many questions about just one risk. Yes, this is called proactivity. You have to analyze the whole situation, and normally we do analyze. Intelligent people can analyze these things just in a fraction of a second in their mind, and they can keep a record. They can have a good memory and they can remember what all they have done the analysis in their mind. But for a normal person, probably these things have to be written down. You should write it down because a normal person cannot remember so many things, and he cannot be probably that much witty. So this is like people like me who are not very intelligent. Probably they must have a format for each risk, and they must answer these questions on paper and record them in somewhere as if their decision is supported ultimately. Risk and decision makers, risk elements that tend to attract and or determine the response attitude of risk makers include potential frequency of loss. This risk, which I am considering, how frequently does it occur? For example, Islamabad Expressway is clogged daily from say 8 to 10 a.m. So this is a frequent event. I know about it, so I should always try to avoid it when I have to travel during these hours. So potential frequency of loss. What is the potential frequency of loss? Daily I travel through that road and daily I get late. You see, this is the potential frequency of loss. Amount and reliability of information available. So how much information is available about an incident and how reliable that information is. Maybe it is on the news that the Islamabad Expressway will be blocked for 6 hours due to VIP movement. And we all know and understand this is going to happen. And this is a reliable information. All the media is talking about it. And this is a lot of information is available, detail is available about this. So probably I must consider it as a risk. Or potential severity of the loss, how much severe the loss is. If the loss is bearable and it's all right if I get late, normally it takes about 30 minutes for me to reach office, and in worst case I can reach in 1 hour, and I can always keep a margin of 1 hour. So there is no potential severity of the risk. I'm not losing millions of dollars here. So I can give myself a little bit more pain and start moving earlier, half an hour earlier, and I can still reach the office in time. So this is potential severity of the loss. Manageability of the risk. Can the risk be managed? Is it possible that this risk can be managed? Are there, in other words, are there any alternatives available to me? What all I can do to manage this risk? If there is no alternative available, and I'm, blocked with the only chance of facing the risk, then this risk is not manageable. Vividness of the consequences. The consequences which I perceive now, are they going to stay the same? Maybe it looks not very dangerous for me, or not very bad situation for me right now. But as we move ahead, we will find that this is becoming critical. The consequences are more dire by the moment it passes. So, if the consequences are very vivid, they are very changeable. Sometimes they are less, sometimes they are. I have to monitor this risk very frequently. So, uh, this needs special attention. Potential for adverse publicity. Sometimes the risk is not that bad, but this is a matter of reputation. Sometimes that I must hold my head high or something. Loss is not that much, but just to keep my appearances, I may have to take that risk in certain order. Ability to measure the consequences. Can can I calculate the consequences from this risk? If I can't, then probably this is a known unknown kind of a risk in which I rather should not enter. If I can somehow avoid it, it's better, because I'm not sure about the consequences I can have. Maybe the consequences was too small and I took a lot much effort into it, and I spent a lot of money to reduce the risk, whereas the damage which was supposedly to be there was too less. And last but not the least is, whose money is it which I'm trying to use? Is it the company's money? It is my own money? It is the customer's money? Whatever it is, we have to take into account that. So these are some of the various response attitudes of decision makers. Then we have the risk issues. Good ways to minimize unwarranted optimism, prejudice, ignorance, or self interest include responding to the following issues. So, we just do not want, no, this is very, very common. No, we always keep saying, no, no, please don't talk bad things. This is not going to happen. It never happened to us. Just like a few days back, I was teaching in a class and I told them that if your room catch fires, what will you do? And one of the students said, sir, in the history, this building has never caught fire. And this building is there for last 20 or 30 years, and this has never caught fire. So, what do you say? So, does this prove that this building can never catch fire? So, we must understand that unwarranted optimism is not required. We must realistically look at the things and we must minimize unwarranted optimism. Actually, unwarranted optimism is something like I would say this is a risk averse person who doesn't want to recognize the risk. He avoids talking about the risk. I'm not talking about the avoidance of the risk. He avoids talking about the risk and thinking about the risk. He is not a proactive person. This person is waiting for um, the event to occur, and then he will take some action and take some shelter. And do not identify the risk based on some prejudices because I don't like this person, so this is a very risky person. This is always going to do something bad. This is not also good. No ignorance, no self-interest. So get rid of all these things. And to do that, you must ask these two questions from yourself. Has it been done before? If we are talking about fire, has it occurred in this building before? So if it is not occurred in this building, that does not mean that it will not occur in this building again. But at least we know that apparently the probability of this building catching fire looks like low, but this might not be a good way of understanding that. Probably I have to not only look at that building, but all the buildings in that area to understand how many buildings have caught fire. So I would rather like to see the historical record of Islamabad. How many times big fires have occurred in Islamabad? They might not have occurred on daily basis. They might have occurred 2 to 4 times a year only. But still, my building can be the next candidate for that. So just do not ignore that. So look at, has it been done before, not from only your perspective, but the perspective from the of the whole area, because the environmental circumstances and the construction quality in Islamabad would be almost similar. How close is the analogy? So if I'm talking about a fire 10 years back in a multi-story building, does it apply to me? No, we are not a multi-story building, so it does not apply to me in that sense. But as far as the fire part is concerned, yes, it does. But the damage in a multi-story building was much more just because there was no way of reaching out and extinguishing the fire. So that analogy might not be exactly true for me. So ask these two questions, and that will get your prohibitions away from you. Then seek out collaborative evidence. Then go out in the market, ask questions from the people, consult with the subject matter experts, and collect data. Base your decisions on data, not on optimism, not on prejudice, not on ignorance or self-interest. Get personal interviews with those with the experience. Obtain alternative opinions. Ask them what can be done if this room catches fire. Insist on written assessment, quantitative if possible. So you have to consider all that. Just hold on a second. I'll just get back. Righty. So I was saying, uh, get personal interviews, insist on written assessment and all that. So these are various means which will ensure that you are not just working on whims. Whims are very bad. These things that I'm talking about, unwarranted optimism, prejudice, etc. These are just the whims. But I feel like it, therefore it is like that. So my gut feeling says that this will happen like this. So there is no gut feeling. There is no such thing. You must have all your prohibitions gotten away and start talking about the facts. Even if the source of risk, the identification of the risk uh, is not reliable and a risk has been told to you, you are supposed to investigate. Don't outrightly reject it just because you don't like that person. So you must first of all validate it, look at the reliability of that source, amount of the data, and then seek out the collaborative evidence and all that. Check it out from many other sources, and only then, if you feel that this is of any higher priority, you can take action on that. Typical project rewards are the benefits. There is never enough time to do it right the first time, but time enough to do it over if it is wrong. So, first time we always do it wrong. Because of the uncertainty, naturally, we do not know the best way of doing that thing. So, we always learn something from our first experience, and next time we are prepared to do it even better. Some typical project rewards include achieving a desired result using limited resources. That is great. This is efficiency we are talking about. We are talking to be economizing on achieving the results with the minimal resources, limited resources. If we can achieve the desired result, that is a big project reward. Advancing the state of the art, something new you are bringing in, which nobody has done before. Meeting a required end date or improving a schedule. Enhancing profitability, naturally, for any organization that would be very important. Increasing a budget or schedule contingency. Saving money or offsetting a fiscal variance. Improving the firm's market position or ensuring customer satisfaction. These are the typical project rewards. I'm not talking about the risks here. I'm talking about the benefits which we could get. And these are the opportunities I can be looking for. So if there is an opportunity of hitting a state-of-the-art project, why not? If there is an opportunity of achieving the desired results with limited resources, why not? So as soon as you look at any such opportunity, you must try to encash it to ensure objectivity in the risk assessment process. Make the best decisions given the state of knowledge, even so it may not work out. Now, this is very important lesson here. You see, whenever you are making any decision for that matter, I'm not really only talking about the risk management. Whenever you are making any decision, you definitely are faced with certain facts and figures based on the current state of knowledge, whatever the facts and figures have been posed to you. To the best of your knowledge, you make your best decision and be confident about it that whatever you could do, have done. Whatever you could do, you have done. You couldn't have done better than this. And then, even if you fail, you will not mind it because this was the optimum you can achieve. Therefore, if even if it does not work, the decision is all right for you. Now, why the decision did not work? Because there were certain unknown unknowns. There were certain uncertainties, which there was lack of certain data and facts which were not considered or which were not available when you were taking the decision. So, therefore, if that data could have been available, the decision could have been different. But in the circumstances in which I took that decision, that was the best decision which could be taken. That you must be confident about. And you must take the best decision. Distinguish between a good decision and a good outcome. It is not just the matter of making a good decision. You don't have to earn a gold medal on getting a good decision. But basically, this decision you are taking for a good outcome for the benefit realization. What organization is gaining out of it? So if the outcome is good and decision is a bit weak, even then it is all right. But if a decision is weak, if the decision is good, but there is no outcome, then you can't cherish your decision always. That decision is of no use, no worth at all, because organization's value has not increased. Since it is not possible to be certain of a good outcome, increase the probability of good outcome by making good decisions. So, having said that, yes, of course, there could be bad decisions and good outcome, and uh, good decisions and bad outcome, but naturally you don't know about that. So, for all practical purposes, you can not work on the outcome, you can work on the decision. So, try to keep your decisions even better. If you can take better decisions, you are increasing the probability of good outcome. Okay, then you should not take the risk in following circumstances. The organization is not able to afford to lose, so you can't take risks if organization cannot. The exposure to the outcome is too great. The situation or the project is just not worth it. The odds are not in the project's favor. There is no more than a fair bet. No, you are just it's just like the whims. You are trying to deciding on whims. So there must be some benefit behind it. So it is no more than a fair bet. The benefits are not identified. You are not talking about opportunities. Even then, there appears to be large number of acceptable alternatives. The greater the number, the more is the uncertainty. Risk does not achieve a project objective, scope, time, or cost. The expected value from baseline assumptions is negative or is negative with small changes in assumptions. Data is unorganized. Naturally, data is unorganized and incomplete. That without structure or pattern, that is going to be a big difficulty. There is not enough data to compute the results. Again, lack of data. Contingency plan for recovery is not in place should the results prove to be less than satisfactory. So these are some rules of thumb given by Max Weidman, and I have so far been, referring to Max Weidman's book, and these were some very good points given there. From the practice standard of project risk management, the role of project risk management is project risk management is not an optional activity. Number one, it is not an option. Whether you should do risk management or you should not do risk management, this is not an option. In every project, there has to be project risk management. It is essential to successful project management. If you do not do it, then you are opening the floodgates of uncertainty to you, and anything bad can happen to you. You are meaning simply, if you are not doing project risk management, you are not being proactive. You are just being reactive, which is extremely bad for a project. It should be applied to all projects and be included in project plans and operational documents. So this should be part of the risk management, should be part of the official documentations for the project as well as the operations. Risk management is an integral part of every aspect of managing the project. Risks are in every phase, risks are in every process group, risks are in every knowledge area. So risks are everywhere. Risk management and other processes, how do they relate and how do they integrate? So, as I already explained, there is a linkage of risk management with all the processes of the project management. Every process could have some risks, and risk management is supposed to identify them and take care of them. Unrealistic degree of uncertainty in all project management processes is there. Project risk management is not a substitute for other project management processes. So you just can't say that we have done the project management, there is no need for risk management, or we have done the risk management, there is no need for project management. Project management is to be done anyways, or those processes will do their job, but you will have to dig down and find risks in them. Project risk management adds the perspective of the project risk to the outputs of those other processes and adds to their value by taking risk into account. So if you do that, if you are proactive, you are going to add value. Earlier, the risks are recognized, the most realistic the project plan will be. Uh, if you wake up to the need for proactivity, need for risk identification and processing earlier in the life of the project, better are your chances for having a proactive plan which will not let you down. But sometimes you realize after you have been struck by the risk that you should have considered the risk management, and right in the middle of the project you start doing your risk management, and at that stage it is not going to be as useful as it was if you could have done it earlier. So earlier the risks are recognized as soon as possible, the better it is. Risk management continues to add value as project planning progresses and more information becomes available. So risk management should start as soon as possible and should continue throughout the life of the project, because with the changing circumstances, risks are also changing. So I cannot stop recognizing or identifying the risks and processing the risks in planning. Yes, of course, the things will start off heat up in planning, but then this will continue. We will keep processing the risk data. We will keep identifying new risks. We'll keep analyzing the existing risks and monitoring them. So this is going to continue till the project finishes. Regularly review the balance between project flexibility and knowledge about project risk needs. How much is the flexibility in the project and the knowledge about project risk needs, or do we need these needs? I'll talk more about something which is called risk tolerance and threshold. So that will actually explain this point. How much risk can you take? You must define your flexibility. How much your stakeholders are ready to take. So that would draw a line beyond which you should take action. Support continuous improvement of project risk management practice, because we'll keep learning from this experience on this project, so we will keep recording the lessons and keep doing better in project risk management for any further future projects. Even within this project also, we will keep doing the continuous improvement in our risk management process. Experience on many projects reveal poor performance in terms of reaching scope, quality, time, and cost objectives. So, if you are not meeting these objectives, your performance is definitely going to be not good. Shortcomings, many of these shortcomings are attributed to unforeseen events and foreseen events. Unforeseen events are your risks, which might or might not have been anticipated, and foreseen events for which risks were not fully accommodated. You knew this thing is going to happen, but you did not understand or did not conceive uh, the uncertainty of that event. So it was not fully certain, and you assumed it to be certain. So generally, we blame it to this. Anything goes wrong, we say, oh, this is just because we did not, you know, take care of that thing, or it was not known to me. Normally, if something bad happens and somebody asks you why it has happened, then you will say, I didn't know. It was unforeseen. And even if it was foreseen, then there must have been some planning mistake, some proper reactiveness could not have been done. What are the issues here? Management's attitude to the risk is the biggest hurdle. Your organization, the higher ups, the management, they do not understand the importance of proactivity and the risk. They have a very unique kind of attitude towards risk, and that is जब होगा देखा जाएगा. So that attitude doesn't work. That is the biggest hurdle, because they will not allow me to give time in planning of the risk, the proactive work which I have to do. I will not be provided enough time, and ultimately risk will not be identified, and we will be damaged. Little understanding of the concepts. People do not understand the concept of risk management. Although what we have been talking for last 2 3 days and what we will be talking further, these things are not something which you didn't know. You might have been practicing these things in one way or the other, although they may not have been as structured as we are discussing, but still you knew these things. But we lack the understanding of the concepts, how to fit them together. So lack of confidence in the mathematical techniques is another problem. Most of the people, they think anything which includes mathematics, that is dangerous. So they don't want to touch it. So they rather rely on their own wit or their own gut feeling than on mathematics, whereas this is a very stupid thing. The mathematical figures are proof that this is how the things were calculated. Your whims, your gut feelings, they do not have any scale. They are not going to be right. This is more of a risk, more of a probability that you are just like you are playing जैसे जुआ खेलते हैं. Lack of confidence results obtained in the results obtained. Uh, the management does not want to recognize or does not trust the results which have been presented in front of them. Reliance on aggressive risk taking, that is banging with the wall. That is normal tendency of banging with the wall without any enough preparation and leave rest to God. No, leave rest to God, not enough until and unless you have done your best. You are not doing your best, you are just banging with the wall and you are saying that it was the God's will. No, that's not the solution. So reliance on aggressive risk taking is bad. Reliance on undue caution. In aggressive risk taking was you are trying to be very brave and you are banging with the wall all the time. So that is bad. And then you are very, you know, afraid of the risk, and you are very cautious about the risk. So this is not really good as well, because in this case you will not like to recognize the risk at all. Even if you can see it, you will close your eyes and you say, no, I didn't see it. Inherent risk may simply be optimistically ignored. Something which is very common, which is the most likely risk, we this is so close to our eyes that we tend to ignore it completely. ये तो होता रहता है, this is normal. So you start considering a risk as a normal thing. You optimistically ignore it कि क्या कर लेगा. So inherent risk may not be ignored, should not be ignored. Okay, now this diagram may look a little older to you because this was based on the older edition, fourth edition, or probably when there were only 9 knowledge areas. So I would only like to change one thing into it. I would like to add the stakeholder knowledge area into it. And you may change the human resource to resource. So what is happening? Um, Here it has put risk in the middle and all other knowledge areas around it. Meaning what? That project risk management has to look at all the knowledge areas for identification of the risks. As far as integration is concerned, we may have to look into the risks related to life cycles and environmental variables, etc. In communications, we might have to look at the risks in ideas, directives, and data exchange accuracy. In resources, the availability and productivity, etc. These are just hints. There could be many more. In contracts and procurements, you might be looking at the service plant, material, and performance. In cost objectives and restraints, time objectives and restraints, requirement standards and quality. In scope, expectation, visibility, and naturally, stakeholder will also be like information or communication, the need for engagement with the stakeholder. So we generally understand that we will have to be looking for risks in all of the 9 other knowledge areas in addition to risk. And we also understand that project integration management is the parent of them all. And therefore, whatever risks you compile and you prepare your plan and your responses, this all will actually add up to the project management plan. So you will submit everything to the project management plan. But when you are identifying the risks, identify them from all the knowledge areas, from all the process groups, from all the phases, and all the possible means you can collect. Do not try to ignore anything. A long list of potential project risks is to be created, and this book, Project and Program Risk Management, Max Weidman has provided a, a long list of risks. A long list is probable, like a historical record, lot many things which could happen to any kind of a project. So he has listed down many things. This could be used as a checklist, and you can try and see whether this risk applies to your environment or your project or not. Similarly, Rita Malkahi's book also gives a long list of risks, which is even a better list. So not all of these risks apply to your project, but many will. So it is always helpful to take help from such kind of a long list of potential risks, or checklist, or whatever you want to call it. There's another name like prompt list. Prompt list is like a to-do list in which you have noted down certain points, and then those points you look for prompting that I must consider risk in this area. Failure to manage risk can lead to significant and unnecessary losses. Poor past track recording should be significantly improved. So, list of potential risks will give you all these benefits. Again, we are referring to Max Weidman's book. According to practice standard for project risk management, uh, good risk management practice is defined as it should be conducted in a manner consistent with the existing organizational practices and policies. Remember, there's a lot of talk about governance and things like that, but actually, when that governance thing was not really very popular, then we were only focused on one thing, and that is organizational strategy. Everything we do in an organization should be aligned with the organizational strategy. And whatever are the practices, policies, and procedures of the organization, they are to be applied on all the operations and projects, naturally, and they had to be translated downward. Now we talk about governance. So, our governance is actually that overall policy given by the top level executive, according to which the detailed policies and procedures are developed underneath. So that policy is what we are, that governance structure is what we are actually following. So in risk management also, whatever are the risk management policies and procedures established by the organization will be applicable to all projects as well. So you will apply them in your project according to the level of appropriateness to the project. You are not supposed to be applying all of the practices which are written down there in the policy, but only those which are applicable to your project. Project risk management should recognize the business challenges, multicultural environment. Project risk management should be conducted in compliance with internal and external requirements. You must look at the internal and external environmental factors. Project risk management should always be conducted on ethical basis, and ethics we have talked about earlier, or you can find it in the Code of Ethics, the practice guide, in which we have honesty, responsibility, realism, professionalism, fair dealing, and these are older terms, but they're similar to what we are following now. Effective project risk management benefits from robust communication and consultation with stakeholders. It should be carried out in a realistic and objective way. It should not be subject to political and other unreasonable influences. Project risk management should be conducted on all projects. Naturally, there is no option. Every project should have this. Degree, level of detail, sophistication of the tool, and amount of time and resource. This has to be applied. Project risk management processes should be scaled to be appropriate to the project. So this we are repeating because risk management, whatever the mechanism of the risk management or the governance structure or the policy of the risk management is, you will have to scale it according to the needs of your project. But you cannot do anything in defiance to the governance structure. Whatever is the policy given to you, you cannot defy that, but at the same time, all the instructions given there may not be mandatory for you to use. And then your risk management plan must be reviewed periodically to determine appropriateness of decisions. So these things which I am talking about are going to help you a lot later when you are going into the detailed planning of the risk and analysis of the risk. Then these reviews and all these points which we are studying now, they may not look very appropriate right now, but as we move ahead, things will be further clarified and you will be able to better understand it. Now, this diagram is I have taken not only from the practice standard for project risk management, but the latest one, the DA standard of risk management on project program and portfolio. So this thing remains same in both these standards. Therefore, I have quoted it from the new standard. So for the success of risk management, it clearly says that you have to look at these 6 key success factors. Previously, they used to call it critical success factors. Now they are calling it key success factors. That is the only change. So what are these success factors? First of all, recognizing the value of risk management. This we have already talked about, that organization should understand the management should take on the responsibility of risk management. They should give enough time and energy to the risk. They should be aware about the proactivity and the need for proactivity. Then the individual commitment and responsibility. The person responsible for identifying, the person responsible for taking action on the risk and doing the assessment and all that, this should be specific commitment who is going to do it. Open and honest communication. Everybody, when you are interviewing people and you are collecting the risk, people should not hide things from you and they must give honest opinion. That will give us better risk management will be possible. Organization must be committed. As we have already said, recognizing the value is also related to the organization, but organization must be committed. Organization must want to exercise risk management. The commitment of the organization should be there. It should not just recognition, but organization must be committed to proactivity. Tailoring the risk effort according to the needs. You must understand that you can tailor this risk management practice or guide into whatever is suitable for you in scenario of your own organization. And then look at it not only from the perspective of the project management, but look at it from the perspective of the project program and portfolio, or for that matter, overall organizational project management. A risk you are considering might not be your risk. It might have to be escalated to the program level because this is a program level risk, or even it may have to be escalated to the portfolio level because it's a portfolio level risk. Don't try to address every risk at your end, but do recognize the risk, do identify the risk, and pass it on if it is not your risk. And that way, you will be integrating the organizational project management. You are a part of the big whole. So, these are the 6 points. Then, cascading of risk management strategy into portfolio, program, and project. This is from the new edition. Therefore, it talks about the portfolio, programs, and projects. On top, there is strategy. There we identify the business level risks. Naturally, SWOT analysis is done there, threats, opportunities, and all that. Translate risk management strategy into actions. And then portfolios are there. They translate strategic objectives into organizational values and capabilities. Programs, they define tangible benefits, capability, triggers, and projects escalate to higher level when necessary. So this cycle continues. This is consolidating the risk profile and risk management efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. I come to the end of this module. Any questions if you have, you can ask now. Gino.
So no questions from my side.
Okay. Or now Mohit?
Thank you, sir. You explained it really very well, and yeah, I
Well, well,
had
today,
a grasp of.
today I think it was not explanation. It was just the slide reading and nothing more than that. I did not explain much.
Exactly, sir. Most of the steps, like most of the concepts here, like you explained, so means they were already know. So it was like
Yeah,
uh, uh, going over them again.
right, right.
Yes.
And they
So
should,
I hope that it's gonna set up the basis
yeah,
for the future more
exactly.
intricate steps to come. Yeah.
हम्म, ये शायद साहब आपका क्या इनपुट है?
सर आई एम गुड it's a good read और सारे go through जो definitions हैं जो चीजें हैं explanation है all good.
Actually, the good thing about this course is that I have collected data from so many sources and put it all together into this one. So you don't have to consult books from here and there. Almost everything is here in this presentation, and this is only one single presentation. I'm sorry I could not upload it so far, but this is only one single presentation in which I have put everything together.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, and lectures actually takes about till Sari time or even later when the lecture gets prepared in video. And after that, I don't have time to send it, but otherwise I have collected all those older lectures and I will be sharing them with you. I promise daily, but I don't do it. I'll do it now.
Okay sir, inshallah.
Okay. Right. I think I should have a little break of about 5 minutes and then I can get back and we can start talking about the principles and concepts.
Sure sir.
Okay, just give me a break then. Thank you.
Sure yeah.
Welcome.
Acharya, I'm back. Right. Okay, we need to decide whether we should go ahead with this principles and concept today, or we can leave it tomorrow. What is your opinion? Ji Janab.
Sir, I have to drop off. I have
Okay.
a meeting coming. Ask Khyam and Shahid if they want to continue.
Okay. I think we should call it a day then.
So I think we can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
We can start tomorrow. It's not a problem.
Yeah, because the new
Yes, sir.
topic,
Yes.
we will like to do it tomorrow. Kyun Shah Sahib is okay?
GG, yes, sir. Wonderful.
Chale. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow then. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.